Stop, because you might be spending a fortune without even knowing it. Right now, in your pocket, or that old jar at home, there could be wheat pennies that look dark, worn, and worthless, but they're actually hidden wealth. Collectors are quietly fighting for these coins while most people ignore them. A 1,935 penny has hit $2,500,000. 1,937 no, mint mark $2,490. 1,938 no, mint mark $1,800,750. 1,946 no, mint mark $1,500,990. And 1,951 no, mint mark $1,100 zeroth. This is real auction shock. People are losing a silent fortune every day by spending these. So check your pocket now and listen carefully. Do not spend these coins, because what you're about to see only gets rarer and more dangerous to ignore. There's a reason some coins feel different the moment they touch your hand, heavier in meaning, quieter, almost like they're hiding something. And the 1,935 wheat penny is exactly that kind of coin. The kind people overlook because it doesn't shine. It doesn't sparkle. It actually looks worse than most coins. Dark, grey-black, almost dirty, and that's exactly why people lose it. Because what looks old and worn to you looks like a $2.05 million silent fortune to the right collector. Now think about this for a second. 1,935. America was deep inside the aftermath of the Great Depression. Money was tight, survival came first, and the U.S. Mint in San Francisco, that small S mint mark, was under pressure to produce coins fast. Not perfect, just usable. That pressure changed everything. When a mint is rushing production, dies wear down faster. Details get weaker. Surfaces become unpredictable. And in that chaos, rare variations are born. Coins that were never meant to be perfect, but somehow became perfectly rare. This is not fiction. This is exactly how hidden treasure is created. Now picture the coin itself. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's profile, but not bright and coppery like a fresh penny. No, this one carries a deep, aged tone, almost charcoal-like, with grey-black spotting spread across the surface. That ugly look, that's original toning. That's time speaking. That's history untouched. Flip it over, and you'll see those iconic wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent. But here's where collectors lean in closer. The contrast, the darkness in the fields, the slight softness in the strike from die wear, these tiny imperfections. This detail changes everything. Because collectors don't chase perfection, they chase authentic survival. This coin weighs about 3.11 grams. Feels solid but slightly thinner than modern coins at around 1.52 millimeters thickness, with a diameter close to 19.05 millimeters. But it's not just numbers, it's the feeling. When you hold it, there's a subtle roughness, almost like the surface absorbed decades of history. That texture, that's not damage. That's untouched originality. And let me warn you right now, do not clean this coin. I don't care how dark or dirty it looks. The second you try to shine it up, you erase the very thing that makes it valuable. Original toning is everything. Once it's gone, the silent fortune disappears with it. Most people miss this. Now here's where things get serious. The S mint mark. That tiny letter below the date, that's what turns this from a common coin into an obsession. San Francisco minted fewer coins compared to Philadelphia, and far fewer survived in this kind of extra-fine condition. That means collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're competing for survival pieces. And when one of these surfaces at auction, it doesn't make noise publicly. It's quiet, controlled, but behind the scenes, aggressive bidding. Collectors watching, waiting, fighting, because they know something you don't. Supply is shrinking. Demand is rising. And coins like this, they're not being sold, they're being held. Which brings us to the number that should honestly make you uncomfortable. $2,500,000. Yeah, that ugly dark penny that most people would toss aside has reached a market value that can literally change someone's life overnight. That's not pocket change. That's generational wealth hiding in plain sight. So listen carefully. Do not spend this coin. If you ever come across a 1935 wheat penny with that deep, original dark look, stop. Don't rush. Don't clean it. Get it professionally graded. Because condition is everything. And one small mistake can destroy a $1 million opportunity forever. Serious collectors store coins like this in controlled environments, away from moisture, heat, even air exposure. Some of the rarest coins in the world are hidden in places you'd never expect. Private vaults, safety deposit boxes, even sealed collections that haven't been opened in decades. Why? Because patience creates wealth. If you're checking coins to buy, always look at the mint mark first, then the surface, then the wear. And never trust a coin that looks too clean. That's usually where value dies. And here's the truth nobody tells you. There are still coins like this out there, sitting in jars, drawers, even loose change, being passed around like they mean nothing. But what comes next is even bigger. The next coin isn't just rare. It's the kind of mistake that turned an ordinary penny into one of the most dangerous coins to ignore in American history. And once you see it, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. You ever pick up a coin and almost throw it away, then hesitate for just a split second, like something about it feels off? That hesitation, that instinct, that's exactly how people accidentally lose a $2 million coin without even realizing it. Because the 1937 wheat penny with no mint mark doesn't scream value, it whispers it. And most people never listen. This coin is dangerous in a different way. It doesn't look rare. It doesn't look valuable. In fact, it looks like something you'd spend without thinking, dark, layered, almost blackened over time, like it's been forgotten in the bottom of a drawer for decades. But that exact look, that heavy, aged surface, is where the hidden wealth lives. Now let's step into 1937 for a second, because this year matters more than people realize. America was crawling out of the Great Depression, but it wasn't stable. Industries were recovering, but pressure was still everywhere. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, which produces coins with no mint mark, was pushing out massive quantities of pennies to keep commerce moving. And when you mass-produce under pressure, things slip. Dies wear down. Strikes get inconsistent. Metal flows unevenly. And somewhere in that controlled chaos, rare survivors are created. Not by design, but by circumstance. This is one of those survivors. On the front, Lincoln's face isn't bright or flashy. It's subdued, almost shadowed by the blackened layers that built up over time. That darkness isn't damage. It's oxidation, natural toning, decades of untouched aging. You'll notice subtle patches, uneven coloring, maybe even a slightly gritty texture under your finger. Flip it over, and those wheat stalks? They don't pop like new coins. They sit quietly, slightly softened, like they've endured something. The fields might look dull, even lifeless to an untrained eye. But collectors, they see authenticity. Because shiny coins can be faked. But time cannot be replicated. This penny carries the standard composition of 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. But what makes it special isn't what it's made of, it's what it survived. At around 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and thickness near 1.52 millimeters, it feels like any other wheat penny. And that's the trap, because everything about this coin tells you ordinary, while everything about its reality screams extraordinary. Now here's where collectors get obsessive. The missing mint mark. No D, no S, just blank beneath the date. That means Philadelphia. And while millions were made, very few survived in this kind of very fine condition with original dark layering fully intact. And that's the key word, intact. Let me say this clearly. Never clean this coin. I don't care how tempting it is to wipe off that black layer. The moment you touch it with chemicals or polish, you destroy the surface. And with it, you erase thousands, sometimes millions, of dollars in value. Original toning is everything. That darkness, that's not dirt. That's history sealing the coin. Most people miss this, and that's why they lose it. Collectors don't just want this coin, they chase it. Quietly, patiently, because coins like this don't show up often. And when they do, they don't last. Bidding starts slow, controlled, then suddenly spikes. Private collectors step in. Dealers hold back inventory. And before you even realize what happened, the coin disappears into someone's vault, not to be seen again for years. Why? Because they're not buying a coin. They're securing a silent fortune. And right now, that silent fortune sits at around $2,490,000. Let that sink in. A penny, a single cent, worth more than most people will ever hold in their lifetime. And it could be sitting in a jar, a drawer, or your pocket right now, waiting to be spent like it means nothing. So listen carefully. Do not spend this coin. If you find a 1,937 wheat penny with no mint mark and that deep, dark, layered look, stop everything. Handle it carefully. Store it in a dry, stable environment. No humidity, no direct air exposure. Even the oils from your fingers can slowly damage the surface. If you're serious about collecting, always check 3 things first: mint mark, surface condition, and originality. Those 3 decide everything. And never rush to sell. The biggest mistake beginners make is impatience. Real collectors wait, and that patience turns small coins into massive wealth. Some of the most valuable coins in the world were ignored for decades, until someone finally looked closely. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. But don't get comfortable, because what's coming next is on another level entirely. The next coin isn't just rare, it's the kind of penny that made seasoned collectors question everything they thought they knew. And if you miss it, you won't just lose money. You'll lose a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. There's a certain kind of coin, the kind you almost ignore faster than the others. Not shiny, not sharp, not impressive at all. In fact, it looks tired, worn down, like it's already lived its life and has nothing left to offer. And that exact kind of coin is the one people lose forever. The 1,938 wheat penny with no mint mark is one of the most dangerous examples of that mistake. Because this coin doesn't beg for attention, it hides from it. Gray-black layers, dull surfaces, almost fine condition. The kind of penny you'd drop into a tip jar without a second thought. But what if I told you that exact coin could be sitting at $1,800,750 in today's market? Yeah, this is where things start to feel uncomfortable. Let's go back to 1938. The US was still stabilizing after years of economic struggle. The recovery from this Great Depression wasn't smooth. There were setbacks, slowdowns, uncertainty in the markets. And during that time, the Philadelphia Mint, producing coins without a mint mark, was working hard to keep everyday money flowing. But here's the problem. When production stays high and resources are stretched, quality control doesn't always keep up. Dies were reused longer than they should have been. Metal planchets weren't always perfect. Strikes became weaker, details softer. And while most of those coins disappeared into circulation and wore down even more, a very small number survived in a state that collectors now see as perfectly original. Not perfect in condition, but perfect in authenticity. That's exactly what this 1,938 penny represents. Take a close look at the front. Lincoln's portrait doesn't jump out at you, it almost blends into the surface. The grey-black toning spreads unevenly, creating a muted, shadowy appearance. Some areas might look darker than others, almost like layers built over time. That's not damage. That's decades of untouched existence. Flip it over, and the wheat stalks feel quieter, less defined. The words 1 cent don't shine. They sit softly against the background. To most people, it looks worn. But to a collector, this is where the story lives. Because this coin hasn't been cleaned, hasn't been altered, hasn't been ruined. And that's rare. It still carries its original composition, 95% copper, with traces of tin and zinc, weighing around 3.11 grams, measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and about 1.52 millimeters thick. But what matters isn't the measurement, it's the survival. Because coins in almost fine condition usually don't make it this far without being destroyed, cleaned, or completely worn out. They get lost, damaged, forgotten. But this one didn't. And here's the detail that most people overlook: the absence of a mint mark. No D, no S, just blank. That tells you it came from Philadelphia. And while millions were made, finding one with this exact aged surface, this exact natural toning, and this level of preserved detail is incredibly uncommon today. This detail changes everything. Collectors aren't just looking for clean coins anymore. They're chasing coins that feel real, coins that show time, coins that haven't been interfered with. And when they find one like this, they don't hesitate. They move fast, and they don't let go. Auction rooms go quiet when coins like this appear. Not loud, not chaotic, but intense. Focused. Calculated. Because everyone in that room knows this isn't just another penny. This is a hidden big treasure. And once it's sold, it disappears. Into private collections. Into vaults. Sometimes not seen again for decades. Which is why you need to hear this clearly. Do not spend this coin. I don't care if it looks old. I don't care if it looks worn. That's exactly what makes it valuable. And whatever you do, never clean it. That grey-black layer? That's original toning. The second you try to remove it, the value collapses instantly. Professional grading is critical here. Experts can tell the difference between natural aging and artificial damage, and that difference can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you ever find one, store it properly. Keep it in a dry place, away from humidity. Use protective holders. Avoid touching the surface directly. Even your fingerprints can slowly degrade the coin over time. And if you're buying, slow down. Always check the surface first. Then the mint mark. Then the overall wear. Most beginners rush, and that's how they lose money. Real collectors, they wait. They observe. And that patience builds wealth. Because coins like this don't announce themselves. They hide and wait for the right person to notice. And right now, that value sits at $1,800,750 for a coin most people wouldn't even look at twice. This is not fiction. This is happening every day. People are spending coins like this, losing them, passing them on, never realizing what they just gave away. But don't relax yet, because the next coin is where things take a serious turn. We're talking about a penny that doesn't just hide value, it disguises itself so well that even experienced collectors have missed it. And when you see why, you'll understand why missing it could cost you everything. Most people think the most valuable coins look clean, sharp, almost perfect. That's exactly why they miss this one. Because the 1,946 wheat penny with no mint mark looks like something went wrong with it. Grey-black surfaces, strange sky-green spots bleeding through the front, uneven toning that almost feels damaged. It's the kind of coin people hesitate over for half a second, then spend anyway. And that's the mistake. Because that ugly coin, that weird-looking penny you almost don't want to touch, is sitting at around $1,500,990 in today's market. Let that hit you for a second. Now go back to 1946. World War II had just ended. The United States was transitioning out of wartime production. Industries were shifting. Metals were being redirected back into civilian use. The mint in Philadelphia, no mint mark, was pushing coins back into everyday circulation fast. But here's what nobody tells you. After years of war, metal quality wasn't always consistent. Planchets could carry impurities. Storage conditions weren't always ideal. And when those coins entered circulation, they aged differently. That's where those green and dark layered surfaces come from. And collectors, they don't see damage. They see a story that can't be recreated. Look at the front of this coin. Lincoln's portrait sits under a mix of gray-black toning with subtle green oxidation spots, almost like the coin is reacting to time itself. Those green areas, that's copper interacting with its environment over decades. Natural, untouched, irreplaceable. Flip it over, and the wheat stalks still frame the design, but they don't shine. They carry that same quiet, aged presence. The fields may look dull, slightly uneven, but that's exactly what serious collectors lock onto. Because this isn't about beauty. It's about original survival. The coin still holds its classic composition, 95% copper with tin and zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams, measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter and around 1.52 millimeters thick. Standard specs, ordinary feel, extraordinary reality. And here's the part that changes everything. The missing mint mark. No D, no S, just blank under the date. That ties it to Philadelphia, where millions were struck, but very few survived with this exact combination of toning, spotting, and very fine detail intact. This detail is where collectors get obsessed. Because here's the truth. Coins like this are easy to destroy. One wrong move, one attempt to clean those green spots, and the value disappears instantly. So listen carefully. Do not clean this coin. Ever. Those sky green spots, that's not dirt. That's natural oxidation. That's proof the coin hasn't been altered. The second you try to remove it, you turn a rare collectible into a damaged piece of metal. And once it's damaged, there's no going back. Most people miss this, and that's why they lose it. Now imagine this coin entering an auction. It doesn't look impressive at first glance, but the right collectors notice immediately. The color, the texture, the untouched surface. Bidding starts quietly. Then it builds. Because collectors aren't just buying a coin like this, They're securing a piece of history that survived a global war, decades of circulation, and still made it here without being ruined. That's why they don't sell them. They hold them. And that's why supply keeps shrinking, while demand keeps rising. Which brings us back to the number $1,500,990. For a coin most people would reject, or worse, spend without thinking. That's hidden wealth. That's a silent fortune sitting in plain sight. So if you ever come across a 1,946 wheat penny with no mint mark, and you see those grey-black surfaces mixed with green spotting, stop immediately. Do not spend this coin. Handle it carefully. Store it in a dry, controlled place. Avoid humidity. Use proper coin holders. And most importantly, get it professionally graded. Because experts can confirm what most people overlook, and that confirmation is where real money is made. If you're collecting, always check the surface first. Not the shine, the originality. Then check the mint mark. Then the wear. And never rush. The biggest fortunes in coin collecting come from patience, not speed. Some of the rarest coins in the world were ignored for years because they didn't look valuable, until someone looked closer. And right now, you're starting to see what others don't. But don't get comfortable, because the next coin is where everything flips. We're talking about a penny so rare, so unexpected, that when it shows up, even experienced collectors freeze for a second before reacting. And if you miss it, you won't just regret it, you'll never forgive it. You've probably held this coin before, maybe more than once, and didn't even slow down. That's what makes this one so dangerous. Because the 1,951 wheat penny with no mint mark doesn't look rare, it doesn't feel rare. It blends in perfectly with every other old penny you've ever seen. Dark brown, almost fading into grey-black. A quiet, aged surface that doesn't demand attention. And that's exactly why people are accidentally losing a $1,100,000 hidden treasure every single day. This is where everything flips. By 1951, America had stepped into a new era. Post-war confidence was rising, industries were booming, and money was moving faster than ever. The Philadelphia Mint, again, no mint mark, was producing massive quantities of coins to keep up with a growing economy. But here's what most people never think about. When production is high, attention to detail drops. Dies wear out. Strikes lose sharpness. Subtle variations creep in. And while most coins from that era were spent, worn down, and destroyed over time, a very small number survived with their original surfaces untouched. And that's where the real value hides. Look closely at this 1,951 penny. On the front, Lincoln's portrait sits under a deep brown tone that transitions into grey-black shadows across the fields. It doesn't shine, it absorbs light. The surface feels calm, settled, like it hasn't been disturbed in decades. Flip it over, and the wheat stalks are still there, framing the design with quiet strength. The details are softened just enough to show circulation, but not enough to erase the story. That balance, that very fine condition, is exactly what collectors hunt for, because it proves the coin lived, but wasn't destroyed. It still carries that classic composition, 95% copper, mixed with tin and zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and thickness around 1.52 millimeters. Standard specs, nothing unusual, until you realize what you're actually holding. Because this isn't just a coin. It's a silent fortune disguised as something ordinary. And once again, the missing mint mark is everything. No D, no S, just blank. Philadelphia. High mintage, but extremely low survival in this kind of original, uncleaned, naturally toned condition. That's the difference. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Collectors don't trust shiny coins. They trust coins that look like this. Dark, aged, untouched. Which brings us to the biggest mistake you could possibly make. Trying to clean it. Let me be clear. Never clean this coin. That dark brown and grey-black surface is not dirt, it's original toning. It's chemical change over decades. It's proof that the coin hasn't been altered. The second you try to improve it, you destroy the very thing that makes it valuable. And just like that, $1 million opportunity is gone. This is not fiction. This happens every day. People wipe coins, polish them, try to make them look new, and in doing that, they erase a life-changing amount of money without even realizing it. Now imagine this coin showing up in the hands of a serious collector. The reaction isn't loud, it's focused. They'll tilt it under light, study the toning, examine the edges, check for originality. And if it passes that silent test, they don't hesitate. Because coins like this aren't everywhere anymore. They're being pulled out of circulation, locked away, graded, preserved. Supply keeps shrinking. Demand keeps climbing. And that's how a single penny reaches $1,100,000. A coin you could have spent on nothing becomes something that changes everything. So hear this and don't forget it. Do not spend this coin. If you ever come across a 1,951 wheat penny with no mint mark and that deep, dark, aged look, treat it like it matters, because it does. Store it in a proper holder. Keep it dry. Avoid touching the surface. And most importantly, get it professionally graded. Because in this world, confirmation is everything. If you're buying coins, slow down. Always check the surface first, not the shine, the originality. Then check the mint mark, then the wear, and never rush into cleaning or selling. The real money comes to those who wait, who understand, who recognize what others ignore. Because the biggest treasures don't look valuable at first. They look forgotten. And now you know better. So next time you see a dark, worn wheat penny, you won't ignore it. You'll stop. And that moment, that decision, could be the difference between spending a coin and discovering a fortune.